Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, the PvP Championships is well upon us, and I thought I haven't put together a video for you guys in a very long time, sort of ranking my top 5 best PvP teams in the game as of right now. And with a bit of a meta shift and few new units coming to the game, PvP tier lists and meta team guides now being readily available and being more looked at, I thought, hey, let's put together just a quick video for you guys to break down my top 5 best teams. Now, just be mindful that this is just my personal opinion playing PvP. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys agree, if you disagree, what your favorite PvP unit is, what your favorite PvP team is to run right now. And just be mindful that this is sort of just going as a generic blanket fold. Now, obviously, when versing particular teams, you want to bring particular units, and that's not really going to reflect in today's video. This is just kind of like the meta or the stock standard team that you would normally stereotypically bring if you were running, say, Free Spirit, or if you were running, say, Quick. Now, obviously, Quick beats Strength, Strength beats Dex, and Dex beats Quick, and there's always going to be a counter to something in some way. It's how the game mode works. But like I said, in today's video, we're sort of going to break down my personal teams, utilizing, obviously, characters I have, some characters that I don't, that I know just are very, very good. But like I said, let me know down below what you guys think. While you're down there, belt the like button for me, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in and take a look at the top 5 Stump best PvP teams. Alright, so we're going to start off with number 5, and honestly, this one's probably like an asterisk number 5 / number 4. You guys can interchange 5 and 4, and that is the Striker team. I'm actually going to call it the Roger Whitebeard team, because they're the reason this particular team sits in the echelons that this team actually does. Now, Strikers have access to a plethora of PvP rare recruits. You have Hina, you have Conjuro, you have Sasaki. The list goes on and on of Strikers. You have Marigold as well, who are all just very, very powerful units. And these particular characters do very, very well on the Striker team. The Striker team's always been that team that sort of just never really should have worked, but actually does. And with something like Luffy Yamato as well, you can do some pretty fun stuff. So Roger Whitebeard, they're pretty much your key. And as you can see, I've got 2 team builds here. I have another 2 team builds and I have for you guys as well. Each particular class or color that we talk about today will have 4 different teams, just to sort of break down a couple of different variations. But stereotypically, this team up top here, it's built around Hina and the action blind mechanic, Conjuro buffs, Driven, and Strikers, and then you have Tesoro 6+ for all the cooldown reduction. And then with Kuzan, Kuzan's actually buffing Sai and Quick. So Kuzan's buffing this entire team besides Roger Whitebeard because they're typeless, but Roger Whitebeard also buff Sai, so that way Hina and Kuzan actually get some buffs here too. You have some good back-end damage with the Driven bench and Luffy Yamato if you get into the last 50 seconds, and it works quite nicely. The next team uses Conjuro once again, but it uses Jack. Now, Jack is a staple. Honestly, I would much prefer to use Jack on a Striker team because his HP cards are just way more reliable. We still have the cooldown reduction from Tesoro. We have an extra PvP unit in Sasaki, and that way we can still run our really, really strong Luffy Yamato bench. However, there are some other builds that tend to work a little bit nicer. Now, this top build is stereotypically the meta Striker team that you'll probably come up against with something like Kuzan and then Conjuro, Tesoro, Jack. Jack is great. And then having Kuzan to buff Tesoro and Conjuro works really, really well. But like I said, you can see some other stuff sort of floating around with like Sasaki and how good he is. I believe the new Shiki is also a striker. He's great if you're trying to take down stuff like slashes, coming up against like a lot of slashes in a team. This particular bench doesn't lose Luffy Yamato, but it does have King on it, which is honestly just as good. Finally, we have the sort of strength-centric build. You're utilizing Kid now for some more damage output, and we have Marigold, so that way we can bring Santa Sonia. The bench is still very, very strong. Kid can go through defense. He does a lot of damage. Obviously, Roger Whitebeard, as you can see, pops up on every single one of these teams. If you don't have Roger Whitebeard, you probably shouldn't be running Strikers, if I'm completely honest with you. But like I said, these are probably the 2 main Striker teams that you'll see running around, and this top one especially is that sort of meta Striker build. Next, we have Slashers, and as I said earlier, like, 4th and 5th, you could swap them if you want to. Like, honestly, if someone made an argument to me to say that Strikers are better than Slashers, I would probably accept it. If someone said to me, hey, slashers are better than strikers, then I would probably accept it too. I like slashers just a little bit more because they have a little bit more variation. The downside to slashers are they are more catered towards end-game players or long-term players that have a lot of 6+s at their disposal. Stuff like Shank's Crew, Cap, Viper, Dogstorm, Odin, Super Sugar Odin, the Anniversary Kinemon K-Dad unit. So Cracker 6+. Like, you have a lot of units here that need that 6+ to make them very, very viable. But in saying that, they're very chunky, they're very, very fast, and they're very, very strong. Once again, Roger Whitebeard is going to appear on all these teams. And these are sort of like the budgety more slash teams. You have the really chunky slash team here. We have Shank 6+, the 6+, basically, slash team. Shank 6+, Bardo, Cavendish 6+, and Cap Viper Dogstorm 6+. Run King on the bench. Any nuker will suffice here. You can run, like, Sasaki, you can run Kaku, Law. You can run anyone at all. Ideally, you want a nuker, but hey, if you run Law, Law's going to help you out too. Speaking of Law, he's the only slasher or designated slasher PvP unit, besides the new Cap Viper that's come out, but you need like int slashes for that to kind of work. Nevertheless, though, Law can allow you to make an 8-man team. And if you have Odin and K-Dad, then you can build like sort of a strength core. You can do some really, really cool stuff here and then bring something like Cracker for some cooldowns. You can use Kizaru as well. He's another really, really good cooldown reducer. Or you can go a bit more chunky like up here and bring something like Neko Inu or Shank's Crew for some more HP cuts and some more bulk and do something like that. But bringing Law in the front allows you to bring out an 8-man team. Stereotypically, myself, I don't love running 8-man slasher teams. I much prefer running stuff like this. Now, slashers go fast, and you really want to build into that speed to make them work very, very nicely. Ideally, I run something like this top team, though, moving away from that speed factor and just allowing myself to get guaranteed kills with Roger Whitebeard and Zoro. However, swapping out Zoro for something like Cracker can work really, really nicely. What you can also do, and this is another thing that I like to do a lot as well, is bring the Anniversary Zoro, the King of Hell Zoro. He doesn't boost slashes himself, but he gives such a nice buff to himself and to free spirits, being Odin and K-Dad, that you can easily just chuck him in the middle, let his counters go absolute ballistic, and do some really, really cool stuff that way. These characters here, they're just nukers, put whoever you want on the team. But these two here are stereotypically my slasher builds and how I like to run them. In regular Rumble, I'll even bring Cracker here, and then that way I can just get a lot of speed output, get Zoro popping off very, very hard. But you can also use a lot of bulk if you're coming up against some stronger and some tankier teams where you need the HP cut of the redhead pirates. And then that way you can get a lot of defense. But after 70 seconds, they give level 5 defense to the crew. And then their special gives another level 6. Gives another level 5. So you can get like a level 10 defense to the crew, which is just kind of nuts. Zoro here, he's very, very good, but you can run this as Shura Zoro as well. After the buffs that him and K-Dad got, they are very, very strong. And like I said, the Roger Whitebeard effect for strikers or slashers puts both of these teams in the top 5. Moving on to something a bit more color-centric now, or type-centric, we have Psy. And honestly, the echelons of this team is Psy Free Spirit. And stereotypically, once we got Gear 5's release, we had this kind of team running around. Whether or not you used Luffy Gear 5 in the 6-star or the 6+, it didn't really matter too much. But this was stereotypically the first Psy team that we saw when this unit came out. Once the unit super evolved, though, we got the Luffy 6+, and it became a very Psy-centric team. If you guys don't have some of the higher echelons or anniversary characters like Shanks or whatnot, you can easily use this Roger. You can slide something like Kuzan in on this team as well, and you can do some really, really nice stuff there. But that sort of works better like down here, as you can see, with a more Psy-centric. Now, 6+ Gear 5 buffs Free Spirit, but 6-star just buffs Psy. So, stereotypically, like I said, this was the original Psy team that sort of popped up when the unit released. And then we had this sort of weird hybrid unit team with Kuzan. Bringing Kuzan and then keeping 6-star Gear 5 works a little bit nicer when you're coming up against more strength-centric builds or int builds. Now, int's just in a really bad spot at the moment. Strength, not so much. And Kuzan alone can't really help you when you're going up against new age strength. As for this bench, Psy needs a lot of help with the bench options, but what they do actually have now is a lot of units like this. We have the 20 cost in the 5+ Shanks, and you also have stuff like this Garp as well. This Garp unit can actually do some really, really cool stuff at the back end as well. But they're all very, very good nuking units, and you can easily run something like this if you guys aren't using the anniversary Shanks as well. So Streusen was like our best option until this moment. Now we've got a few other options to like play around with, like the 5+ units getting that 20 cost limit. So they all work really, really nicely, but the echelons of Psy is really built into the core of Psy Free Spirit. And for myself, I like running this top team more than anything when it comes to the Psy Free Spirit team. The only downside is we don't have a unit to make this Shanks go absolutely crazy. Shanks needs a redhead pirate on the crew, so that way he can go absolutely ballistic. I believe he can use Uta as well. No, he can't use Uta. He has to use like Ben Beckman, Yasop, Lucky Roo, Bok Punch, Lime, all those new film red characters we got. But there is a 20 cost Fortnite Yasop, and this is the character that I stereotypically bring. Chuck him on the bench and just like call it a day there. You can also run this Garp. I've actually been running this Garp a little bit more than Smoothie. Sorry, not Smoothie, then more than Streusen, and I've been doing something like this. So that way you can get some cooldown reductions, a little bit more attack and whatnot too. But when you are going up against strength, and namely that new powerhouse strength build, you're going to want to bring something like Wano Law. If you want the team to go a little bit faster, and you are still rocking Kuzan and Luffy, Wano Law tends to do the trick. And this particular team here is more catered towards those int teams, those quick driven teams, stuff like that. But this particular team and these side builds are actually very, very nice. Stereotypically, the side with Roger or the side with Shanks, however you guys want to run it, is the better of the echelons when it comes to side teams. But nowadays, side just has so many different options that the teams work very, very well. Moving on to team number 2 now, and honestly, this team is so close to being number 1, man. Like, it's so close. Now, the team is Strength, and it's wild to say that Strength has now risen to the echelons of the top 2 best PvP teams in the game. But, in all honesty, it is the Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5 from Film Red Show. He's the one that has skyrocketed this team into oblivion. Now, we do have options like Kobe and Kaido. They're all very, very nice. They're all very, very good. But without this Luffy, this strength team doesn't belong here. And it's crazy to think that a unit like this just came out of nowhere, in PvP I'm talking, and just, like I said, took a whole type on its back and just sent it to the goddamn moon. He will do 2 attacks that will ignore defense 3 times, so 6 attacks all up, for 1.5 times his attack. Now, that's just it's a wild amount of attack. He literally just kills units. He pops off, and he just kills the entire team. He doesn't care if you're quick, doesn't care if you revives, because he'll just hit you again after that, and he hits so damn hard. Now, the top team that you guys see here is the Fighter variation of the strength team that I've been trying. It works quite nicely, but running Kaido on the bench does seem to hinder it just a little bit. And this Sanji needs a level limit break so bad, but when he gets one, it's going to make this Kobe so much better. Kobe needs a Straw Hat on the team that's not Luffy to activate his passive, and that way you can actually get a level 3 CT buff to fighter characters, namely this particular Luffy. Jack and King getting the cooldown reduction is nice too, and it all works out pretty hunky-dory, right? But there is another cheeky strat that you guys can actually use with this particular build if you do want to move away from something like the Sanji, and you can actually use this Usopp. Am I spelling Usopp wrong? This one. Now, this Usopp came out on One Piece the Stampede movie, and has not really come back since. So again, this is more of a long-term player like team. Running this Usopp gives level 5 CT buff to the crew. It's all he does. Chuck him right here in the middle, and then just like let him die, let Kaido come in, and you can do some fun stuff that way. I'm actually going to try this team. I really want to see how it goes, maybe even with King on the bench and swapping Kaido around. That could work out quite nicely, but if you do that, you do lack quite a lot of defense, and that's where Law comes in. Law's level limit break is so ridiculously powerful. He gives level 5 HP and level 3 defense to strength. Combine that with Jack's HP cuts and stuff like that, it works nicely. Who's another really good damage dealer, but he's only buffing Powerhouse. However, it works nicely with Kaido and what Luffy's trying to do. All in all, though, they aren't the 2 best strength teams that I would highly recommend. This top team is the strength team that I've been running quite frequently, and obviously, if you come up against like Shiryu and Sugar and Akainu and Izokiku, yes, the team's going to struggle, obviously, but when you take on literally anything else that's not... I think I lost to like a weird Shanks Crew Tesoro Kid build, where Kid just like wiped the entire team. This team works so well across the board for so many different things. Now, Kobe was at the back end of a celebration that no one really wanted to summon on, so I understand people not having Kobe, but I have been talking to my homies, and a lot of people have been saying that this Toki, especially alongside Kaido, works an absolute treat. And if you do run Toki and not Kobe, you don't have to bring this Sanji. That way you don't have to worry about that extra passive. You can use something like Santa Sonia, and you can, Marigold to activate Santa Sonia, and then you can just get a little bit more CD reduction that way. But if you guys don't have Kobe, like I said, you do have Toki. Toki's actually giving you more defense, giving you more attack. However, Kobe is giving you a lot more CD reduction as well as a lot more HP. So the teams work very, very nicely. Strength is in such a good spot. And if you see it on defense, be very scared and be very aware when you do decide to take it on. Finally, we have the number 1 team, and that is Free Spirit. Like I said, strength is so close, but I still think Free Spirit takes the cake because of not only Gear 5, 6+, not only Zoro, but Nami Karina. The 3 of these characters just are disgusting when you combine them together. And then you have Sanji with all the cooldowns, you have Atama with the healing, and you can run like an 8-man team if you want to. However, I always find that Free Spirit teams, they always work the best. Now, the 6-man team for Free Spirit always works the best. Now, the top team you guys see here was the initial Free Spirit team that I was running, like, religiously. I had Luffy Yamato there initially, and then when Gear 5 came out, I just replaced Luffy Yamato with Gear 5, and that works really, really nice. However, if you guys want to run a more 8-man centric team, you can just replace Roger with Otama, and then you can run an 8-man bench. Luffy Yamato is a great replacement if you don't have Gear 5, 6+. And look, I know a lot of people like using Luffy Yamato over using something like Gear 5 Luffy. But I think Gear 5 Luffy is better. The revive is great. The fixed damage is awesome. And then the damage through defense is awesome. However, the team's a little bit slower. It does tend to go the distance where if Luffy Yamato hits in the back end of 50 seconds, you're basically going to win. This top team works really, really nicely too. If you're going up against Driven Powerhouse, you can bring something like Kid Law into the fray. And that way you're reducing their defense. And that way you're just doing a lot more damage with normal attacks. Zora's counters are going crazy. But if you do have Nami Karina, just bring Nami Karina. Like, Nami Karina is so good. With their ability to give the 40% reduction to the special cooldowns and then have the counters of Zoro going off is just so damn nuts. Whether you run Gear 5, whether you run Luffy Yamato, they both work exceptionally well. I find Luffy Yamato work a little bit nicer with Nami Karina because Nami Karina slow the team down to the point where you're not taking all that much damage because you're rolling back the specials, and then Luffy Yamato get their special off in the last 50 seconds and literally just kill everything. Zoro's counters basically pick off the scraps and you're in a really, really good spot. Odin has a fantastic passive. Action Binding is great. Gives level 6 HP to Free Spirit. And then he's also buffing Sai for the first couple seconds. First 30 seconds, I believe it is, 40 seconds. So he works great. But again, if you guys are coming up against Driven Powerhouse, you just bring Kid Law into the fray, and all of a sudden, Driven Powerhouse defense just starts to melt because Nami Karina's lowering defense, Kid Law is lowering defense, their passive's lowering defense. Your normal attacks and Zora's counters just start absolutely destroying everything. What you can also do too, if you want to get really cheeky with it, you can actually bring Tesoro. The 6+ Tesoro, whilst isn't buffing anyone, isn't getting buffed by everyone on the team, he's buffing everyone. He's giving defense, he's giving CD reduction, Nami Karina's buffing him, he's buffing the team, and then Luffy Yamato's also giving all these weird buffs as well. So you can do some really, really fun stuff there. But stereotypically, the top team that you guys see right there is the pinnacle of PvP right now. I do believe that it is the best team on Pirate Rumble or in Pirate Rumble, whatever you want to call it. However, everything does have a counter, and eventually, or if not already, this team does have a way to be beaten with particular units. But as an echelon of an all-round team, I do find that this team gets the job done against pretty much everything under the sun. The bottom team as well, honestly, this particular team with Odin on it, it does absolute bits as well, and it works a goddamn treat. But that's my top 5. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys agree, if you guys disagree, what you guys think, and what your favorite PvP team is to run down below. While you're down there, don't forget to belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.